Wearing Supreme in New York City a dangerous thing for years, terrorizing the streets, harassing strangers, and building a viral empire out of pure hatred for a clothing brand, only to end up serving 28 years to life in prison. And this is all because his...
Sheesh. What's the deal, y'all? What's the deal, y'all? What's the deal, y'all? We're sure tapping in 10 and Trap News Network, back in the same, like cracking the same here at 10 and Trap News Network. Start getting news you can use. Start getting knowledge though. You're not finna get in nobody's college though, big dog. Hit a like, hit a comment, hit a subscribe for everything we got going on here at TNN Trap News Network. And start getting news you can use. Start getting knowledge though. You're not finna get nobody's college though, big dog. Tap in with the tap in. Make sure you are good news you can use. Good knowledge you ain't finna get nobody's college, man. Make sure y'all get into that. Get into that. If you ain't got into that, man. We finna tap in with that news you can use. That knowledge you ain't finna get nobody's college, man. Let's tap in and see exactly why this YouTuber decided to put a hit on somebody, and that's Barnacles. But let's just get into content, see what's going on. Let's go.
Reckless actions cost the life of an innocent family man. So it's safe to say we have quite the tragic yet wild video today. And it's probably the most extreme case of fashion beef spiraling into real-world consequences that we've ever seen. Especially because this story actually starts back in 2016 to 2017 and only reached its conclusion now recently in 2025, almost a decade later. So meet Anthony Lopez, who became known online as YM Babe, a man whose obsession with fashion drama would destroy multiple lives, including his own. However, to understand how this whole disaster unfolded, we first need to know what these clothing brands meant to people around the world, especially in New York City during the late 2010s. Because let's go back to 2016, and Supreme had basically become the holy grail of streetwear culture, and people were...
Supreme was the most trash brand ever, bro. Like, I don't understand why people were so ecstatic about that, but your business.
Literally sleeping on the sidewalks outside of Supreme stores just to buy their new box logo hoodies. Meanwhile, you have a bathing ape, mostly referred to as Babe. That was Supreme's flashy Japanese competitor. While Supreme kept things more minimalistic, at least, and grungy, Babe, they went full rainbow camouflage and cartoon apes. But both brands had die-hard followers who treated their choices kind of like a religion. Then obviously you had the casual streetwear people who maybe owned both or wanted to own both, but your average person did not own any of this, as we're talking about $500 plus hoodies back in 2016. Ironically, now both of these brands are cheaper because they're still, like, you could probably get a Supreme tee or Supreme hoodie for what, like $300 now, and the dollar is worth definitely way less than what it was back in 2016. That also has a lot to do with the hype on both of them pretty much dwindling, but back then, and
I don't know anyone who actually stood in line to like buy these things outside of, like, no disrespect, but Asian and Mexican resellers. I don't know anyone else who actually bought this to wear this stuff.
Anthony Lopez decided that his preference was Babe, and that needed to become his purpose in life. So around 2016, Anthony or YM Babe started showing up to social media with one simple mission: convince the world that Supreme was garbage and anyone wearing it deserved to be publicly shamed. Now, Anthony wasn't some fashion insider or an industry expert. He was also just a regular dude from New York who happened to have an extremely strong opinion on what other people wore. And I guess what made him different was his willingness to take these opinions directly to the streets and all up in people's face. Because instead of just posting angry comments online like most haters, YM Babe, he grabbed his phone and started physically confronting strangers in Manhattan. He'd walk up to random people wearing Supreme gear and start shouting at them about their fashion choices. And according to interviews he gave later, YM Babe actually started...
It seems like that's the easiest way to get your feet whooped. Why are you bothering me?
Doing this stuff without even recording it. He was just walking around Soho genuinely harassing people because he felt like he was just very passionate that he hated Supreme and he wanted Babe to be the big thing. Eventually, his friends then convinced him to start filming these encounters, and that's where everything changed.
So you were just running up on people who were wearing Supreme and just flexing on them? Just why? Because you were in the mood? You just didn't with it?
Yeah, because I was so adjusted to Supreme.
Okay.
Because these videos started going viral on Reddit, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook pages everywhere, and people couldn't figure out why he was doing this. There was a lot of speculation if these were just skits or if this guy's actually just lost his mind over some hoodies. And these weren't just verbal arguments either, because YM Babe, he would physically grab Supreme hats off of people's heads and just throw them on the ground. He'd push strangers, he'd trip them while they were walking, and then he would also do this whole like beating on his chest thing while shouting catchphrases.
Stop wearing that. Why are you laughing? Ain't playing with you. He still being a trick that man. You know what I do best?
It was definitely extremely cringy to watch, but that cringiness is exactly what made the content go extremely viral, because especially back then, this
Can
behavior
you imagine you just out here minding your own business, somebody walks up to you doing this type of behavior, you'd be ready to kill this nigga.
wasn't all over the place. Now it kinda is, but then it was somewhat unique, even though how tragic it is. Because within months, Bape transferred from some like random street harasser to a legitimate internet personality. He was getting thousands of followers who was genuinely entertained by the chaos or genuinely supported his anti-Supreme crusade. And this was also during a time where Supreme got so popular, but it was so expensive that a lot of people just started hating on it because, like the $1,200 hoodie with just Supreme on it did not make sense for most people. So a lot of people started clowning on the people who were actually buying that kind of stuff. But here's the thing, even if you knew who he was or followed his content,
Sound like people who couldn't afford it were hating on the people that could, but that's a different story for a different day.
you still weren't safe from being pressed if you wore the wrong brand around him. Because this situation got so intense that people started genuinely avoiding certain neighborhoods in Manhattan if they were wearing Supreme. And Bape wasn't just targeting random pedestrians anymore. Because one of his most infamous moments was when he approached the actor Jonah Hill on the street, which led to this footage showing that Jonah was probably extremely confused and maybe slightly startled.
Got the big Supreme. You my man, I ain't gonna violate. Supreme can't be out here. You gonna hear about me soon. I'm violating no Supreme. I'm out here. Y'all here.
Social media back then was definitely very different because this was also during the time of Boom Gang. Yes, it's safe to say it was pretty cursed back then. But as internet fame grew,
Social media was definitely an interesting place back then for sure.
something unexpected happened. Major figures in hip-hop began acknowledging his existence. He was spotted hanging around rappers like Chief Keef, Playboi Carti, and even brought on stage during a Lil Uzi Vert concert. But the whole thing reached peak validation when XXXTentacion referenced him in a song, basically turning the YM chest-beating signature move into a mainstream hip-hop lyric. And this led him to being interviewed on No Jumper, where he got to explain his Supreme hatred for hundreds of thousands of viewers. And at this point, terrorizing people for their clothing choices literally became his career. And with internet fame came some money, and Bape started investing into expensive jewelry and questionable street activity. And this is also around the time where he really starts leaning into his anti-Supreme brand. Because in 2018, he pulled off the stunt where he replaced actual Supreme advertisements around New York with posters of his own face.
I'm gonna tell you what's going on. Supreme, I'm a hate.
But he was definitely not finished with the street confrontations because they were getting more and more wild. He started storming into actual Supreme retail stores, throwing around the merchandise, and actually screaming at employees
Yeah, that'll get you arrested.
and customers. There were also videos of him
That's called trespassing and destruction of property, and depending on what you might do, might be an assault. Simple one, but you never know.
getting into serious street fights over the brand. He was also arrested multiple times for these incidents, but every time he just kept on coming back. He just kept pushing things further and further, like literally beating someone up for wearing Supreme. And obviously, I can't show that full clip. But it was because of this behavior that he then later on claimed that someone put a bounty on him because of all the alleged harassment he's been doing. And eventually, that caught up with him. And he got jumped by a group of people who were apparently fed up with his antics. And obviously, I can't show that clip either. But in April of 2019, everything changed when Bape got shot 3 times in the chest. And the shooting happened near some housing projects on New York's Lower East Side, where Bape and his crew were allegedly based. When photos of him in the hospital started circulating online, people had mixed reactions. Some felt bad for him, and many thought he'd finally pushed the wrong person too far. Bape then posted some hospital photos with some dramatic captions and even filmed a music video from his hospital bed, basically turning his shooting into more content for his brand. But according to prosecutors,
Okay, 50 Cent approach.
Bape was convinced that someone from a rival neighborhood was responsible for shooting him. And that's where his story took a big turn from internet drama to an actual criminal conspiracy. So, from what I can tell, what happened next had nothing to do with Supreme or Bape or even internet fame. It was street-level retaliation that would end an innocent person's life. Because after getting out of the hospital, Anthony looked for someone to handle his revenge. In June of 2019, a young guy reached out to him through some text messages, offering to carry out a hit for a surprisingly small amount of money. Anthony then accepted this offer and they started planning the attack. So on June 12, 2019, Bape coordinated with several people.
Don't say this nigga did this shit for $1,000.
people to
if not less.
finalize their plan. He arranged transportation and logistics for what was supposed to be a targeted hit on whoever he thought was responsible for shooting him. So that night, the crew he hired took a taxi to the rival neighborhood. They were then looking for a specific person, but the way things ended was not how it was supposed to happen. So in the early morning hours of July 13th, they ended up near an apartment building where James Weeks was hanging out with his friends after a typical Friday night. James was a 35-year-old who had worked for Citibank and had absolutely nothing to do with any gang activity or street beef. At around 2:40 in the morning,
Sounds like James was just minding his business.
as James was walking to his car, one of Bape's hired shooters opened fire at him from about 150 feet away. James Weeks was hit in the face, and although he made it to the hospital, he never made it out of there. And meanwhile, the person Bape was actually after was nowhere to be found. And what makes the situation even more tragic is James Weeks left behind a wife and 4 children. According to his family, he had no connection to any gang activity at all. He was literally just visiting his friends on a Friday evening and nothing more. But later that day, Bape was actually sent a screenshot of an Instagram post about the shooting that simply said, "innocent bystander." And what makes things worse is he knew they targeted the wrong person, but he didn't seem to care. Because even after learning they ended an innocent father's life, Anthony didn't stop planning. The shooters got arrested within weeks, but while they sat in jail, he kept calling them and plotting to finish what they'd started. In one recorded
Idiota. Who snitched on you? You snitched on you.
jail call from January of 2020, Bape told one of the arrested shooters that he had $4,000 ready for another hit. He was offering to pay double what he originally paid the first time.
Wait, so the first one did it for 2 racks? Nigga, you sitting in jail on an elbow after hitting the wrong person over 2 rackades? Goodness gracious, big dog. Goodness gracious.
Even though an innocent man was already gone because of his desire for revenge. And what's wild to me is he was doing this over jail calls, and for some reason this was going on for months. The guy was visiting and calling the people who
Like, yeah, nigga, who the fuck you think you are, young thug?
ended James Weeks' life, trying to get them to complete his original plan. But unfortunately for Bape or Anthony, he was arrested in December of 2021, more than 2 years after James lost his life. And the legal proceedings revealed the full scope on what had actually been happening. This wasn't just some internet personality who got carried away with content creation. His whole Supreme-hating character and banging on the chest thing was apparently connected to gang affiliations that most of his internet followers probably had no idea about.
I think it might be like that gorilla thing that, what's that nigga name? Casanova 2 times was tied to. I think it's that.
During the trial, prosecutors showed evidence that Bape felt zero remorse for what had happened. Even while locked up awaiting trial, the people managing his account were posting smiling photos of him in jail on social media. So in December of 2024, a jury found Bape guilty of murder in the first degree and conspiracy. And in March of 2025, he was sentenced to 28 years to life in prison. And the judge also noted that shortly after the killing, Bape and his friends were caught on video seemingly happy and celebrating despite having just caused the end of someone's life. And all the other people involved got serious prison time as well. The actual shooter is looking at life in prison, and the other conspirators got decades behind bars. So while Bape built his entire following by turning fashion preferences into street harassment, underneath all that viral content was someone involved in some actual street activity that had real-world
Yeah, I think it's how that Gorilla Ape gang that Casanova suits, some New York shit. Don't let me lie and say exactly what it's called, but I know they be beating them. It's whole like this whole gorilla thing.
Consequences. Because what already looked like some harmful fashion beef on social media was already masking some serious criminal activity. Because while his online
All right, man, we finna get up out of here. That was tricky. I never knew nothing about that one, but we're up out of here to the next one. Y'all know the deal. Red dot to the left. Y'all know the rest. Free Avenue until he's free. We gone. Yeah, man. For those of y'all who don't know, for the rest of this football season, I will be posting up a clip of one of my kids every week. Y'all gonna have to watch that at every video for a week. And every Saturday, we're gonna update with a new clip and a new highlight from my son's football game. They first year players, but they starting DN, starting outside, middle linebacker. Both the twins is on there doing a Dougie. So for the rest of this youth football season, you're gonna catch these clips, big dog, of my kids doing their stuff. But that all being said, we out here to the next one, man. Free Avenue Angel until he's free. Enjoy the clip.
Sexy bands on my neck. Shots to the center of a freak, nigga. 3 in his ass, lick his stomach, smell his pink, nigga. They throwing shots, time to see if them pussy niggas can take it. The nigga whack is a snitch and the jolly niggas are rapists. See, Lush was on to something, tried to act like it was nothing. Said you ain't know that freaky ass taker you was frontin'. Munchie ain't fucking with you and Spider-Loc ain't gon' save you. If you want it, you gon' take it. Stop the freaky ass behaviors. Let's get straight to the point, see we ain't gotta wait for later. Nigga with your last name kidnapped that girl before he raped her. Said the moms of gang members don't deserve no piece of prayers. When General butt naked, the kid Tesher is your savior. You ain't gotta stall me out, cause I ain't asking for no favors. Get it cracking right now, we ain't gotta wait for later. Walked into your own building, heard my voice and then you ducked away. Was humble like a bitch, cause you a hoe, stay in your fucking place. That nigga whack and slut and pathetic, Flacco's a fucking lame. Whack ain't come outside because he hiding from his fucking gang. Talking like you tough when niggas spitting in your fucking face. T-Row didn't quit, we wouldn't even know your fucking name. Whack in front of Adam, but Adam is how he do you. See, Flacco lied on me and then Whack told me to sue you. Treated Whack like a bitch, you should've seen it, it was beautiful. Now every single week that nigga jolly on my pupil. Is it Fred or is it Frederick? Is it Dave or is it David? All thighs on me. Flock of belly, now you famous. Type of creep nigga is you. How are you and Dave related? Nigga, no means no. You should've told him not to take it. I'm really in the field, you niggas stuck inside the matrix. From BET to the Knicks, down in Compton where your face is. That nigga real jolly got some freaky ass cases. Tryna fake fight Lush cause Adam wanted you to face. You wanna be like academics, making videos like point and shoot. You and Dave the same ass lane, we know the fucking truth. Brick ain't say this shit is a play, cause he don't fuck with you. He not gon' get involved when them real shooters come for you. If you grew up in the land, them thirsties, they would've humbled you. Grew up with them lions, I promise they would've hunted you. I get disrespectful, the next time I'ma punish you. You dirty fat bitch, I swear to God I see the bum in you. Niggas say they shooters till it's time to bring them guns out. Loose can't read and Whack lost his wife to Clubhouse. Treat Whack like a bitch, mark him out before he snitch again. Flocko, when I see you, I'ma show you the type of bitch you is. Niggas say they see me, they pullin' blick out. I promise that this Glock can make you sit down. Drum with a cooler, one for you, one for your brother. Wrap the string around the mop, sound like your dumb ass when you stutter. Swear to God, nigga.
Hear me out though, right? Wait, pause, wait, bro, wait. Again, wait though. Just right, Joe, right? Wait though, right? I do want to